for me, it's been an absolute shambles, the technology this weekend. I was at Stamford Bridge yesterday, Chelsea 2, West Ham 1.
The worst.
Probably the worst decision since the technology came in. Actually, I was in the tunnel afterwards and I saw David Moyes go into the officials' room. He was fuming. That wasn't for the faint-hearted, hearing the exchange between David Moyes and the referee, Andrew Madley. But you can understand it, because as he said to me afterwards, Moyes, you're going to tell me that's another defeat. You know, we've made a poor start to the season. We didn't deserve to lose. And he called it a rascally decision. I quite liked his choice of phrase. But for me, it's not VAR. It's the people who are in control of it. If you look at the two big decisions, you had the Newcastle goal wrongly ruled out. Lee Mason was the VAR. Lee Mason was a terrible referee. Shouldn't be anywhere near the VAR room. Jarrod Gillett has come over from Australia. He has made bad decision after bad decision. If you put people who are not fit for purpose in charge of the technology isn't going to work. If you put me in charge of a jumbo jet, I'm not going to keep it up in the air because I don't know what I'm doing, and nor do they.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, we do say VAR, but again, it's just like another referee. So it's another referee refereeing a game, and referees make bad decisions. That's the only thing that, you know, I always get my back up on, and that's referees, just because of the interactions I've had with referees over my career. But again, so when we do talk about VAR, you're right. It is actually not the technology. It's actually another refereeing a game from behind the screen. Yeah. And you're constantly going to get it, because the funny thing is, you're best leaving it off to referees on the pitch to be able to say, look, it happened in real time, I got it wrong, and you kind of just, you give that. Whereas when you give it to another referee who can watch it 50 times and then make another decision, which again is wrong, that's when you're like, well, you've had over and over and over again, and you're just stopping the beauty of the game, in my opinion.
But there was no contention over the West Ham goal. Nobody thought it was a foul on the goalkeeper, apart from Thomas Tuchel. I mean, I was a bit surprised by that, actually. I think he could have had a bit more sympathy, because Chelsea have obviously been on the wrong end of some decisions. You know, you had the Cucurella hair pulling, but he was very adamant it was a foul. Yeah. I think he's the only person in the country who thinks it was a foul.
It was the worst I've ever seen. Honestly, 03717 22 33 44. If there's any Chelsea supporters that actually thought that was a foul,
they can't.
Ring up.
They can't.
I want to hear why
they can't.
You think that was a foul. I don't think there's anyone in the country thought that was a foul, apart from the VAR.
Yeah. Look, even when I hear Moyes said about he was faking injury. Look, in football, it was. You play act to. Listen, if he got hurt, he can say get hurt. I don't know what he's saying, but for how he was on the floor and rolling, and
he made a mistake. He made a mistake.
You know what? And that's fine, you know. But at the same time, and I remember when we watched the Spurs game, and you said, "Listen, it was wrong, but we got the result, and fair enough." And that's what Chelsea need to say. It was like, look, they got away with one.
Exactly.
And, you know, and we know that because everybody knows. It was a goal.
Exactly.
They should have got a draw from the game.
You don't want to hear Chelsea supporters call up and say, but the Spurs situation with Cucurella, that shouldn't account. No, forget that. Yeah. This situation here, we should be talking about a masterclass from Moyes and Maxwell Cornet scoring a fantastic goal, a last-minute equaliser. We're not. We're talking once again about VAR, about officials, and how wrong and how they keep letting one another down.
I spoke to David Moyes after the game. I think we can hear the audio a bit later in the programme, but I did suggest to him that you'll probably get an apology on Wednesday. It didn't go down particularly well with the West Ham manager, but it might come sooner than that, because we got a bit of information just before we came on air that the PGMOL, who are in charge of match officials in the Premier League, acknowledged that the incidents to disallow the goals both at Chelsea and at Newcastle were wrong, basically, and they plan to cooperate and collaborate with the Premier League. There's going to be a review that takes place next week. In some ways, that will just add insult to David Moyes' injury, won't it?
Yeah, because I was going to throw this question at. So what would you suggest when referees or the powers that be come out and say they made a mistake, but points are lost? And listen, in Brendan Rodgers, if it happened, he could lose his job. So there's so many domino effects that can happen afterwards. What then do you feel retrospective action can happen, or would it just be that an apology and you just keep the game moving?
Doesn't get the point back, does it?
Yeah.
For West Ham. No. If Brendan Rodgers does lose his job, by the way, it won't be because of VAR. It will be because his team were rubbish today. They've been rubbish all season, and we're going to be talking about that 5-2 defeat to Brighton next on the Boot Room on talkSPORT.
Darren Bent's Boot Room. Fast-paced football fallout. Every Sunday night from 5 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.